Okay, let's talk about something every bona fide man should know how to do, and that is sew. That's right, folks. If you don't know how to sew, you need to learn. Why? Well, because one, our gear breaks, it wears out, whatever, so you have to be able to do field repairs, but also you should know how to make your own gear, for improvising in a survival situation, or if there's some gear that you don't want to buy, or just for the fact that it's pretty cool just to make your own stuff. So in this little video here, we're going to talk a little bit about sewing, but mainly the sewing awl. Now, there is a commercial product, I think it's called the Speedy Stitcher or something like that. So I've never bought one, but it kind of works that way. Same deal here. You need, for your sewing awl, you need special needles, sort of. I happen to have a couple here. Okay, what makes these needles, oh, that one ran off, never mind, we got enough here. What makes these needles different, show these guys, is they have a hole, if you can see that, get in there, right there, a hole at the top. At the point, there's holes for them. That's the eye where the thread goes, and then they're just plain pieces of metal on the bottom. There's a few other differences too. Let's see if we can get some contrast here so you can pick this up. Maybe the camera can pick it up a little better. Okay, there we go. So you can see the hole at the top. That's where our thread, our point right there. If you notice, there is a groove on one side here, just a short groove right there. And then on the other side here, there's a groove that runs the length down there. Okay, that's pretty standard. Here's a smaller needle. Okay, same deal. Let's see here. There's your hole, your eye, your point. There's the short groove, the long groove, but also on this one, and on some of the smaller diameter ones, there'll be a little flat spot right there, and you'll see how that flat spot will play a role in a little while. Now this one, if you noticed, was a lot smaller in diameter than the other needle we had, but the end here is larger, so it all fits the same kind of collets and stuff. As a matter of fact, all three of these needles, or four actually, let me grab them up here for you. Tricky little bugs. All four of these needles here are replacement needles for that Speedy Awl, Speedy Stitcher kind of thing that I mentioned before. So if you Google that, I'm sure, or sewing awl needles, you'll come up with a couple hits to get some of these yourself. Now, these are very specialized needles. They're pretty expensive, I think. Let's see. These three here, I think I were a kit that was like $4 or something, and then this needle alone here, this one was $4 almost by itself. Now, you don't have to have these. These have some special features, and I'll talk about those in a second. But right here and here, these are just standard Singer sewing machine needles, style 2020 right there, and they will function just the same as those other ones. There you see the eye. Let's see, that seems to see, there's the eye, the tip, and then you can see there's a little bit of a groove there, and then there's that flat spot again, and then on the back side there's a long groove. So these work just the same. As a matter of fact, When I first learned about this sewing awl technique, I had no way of getting these things. None of our hardware stores or craft stores that I went to back in the day when I was younger carried any of these things. So I used sewing machine needles. They work just the same, the technique's the same, and so let's talk about these needles a little bit. Now this here is just your standard sewing machine needle with a rounded sharp point. It's very thin, good for clothing. You can, it will punch through leather and webbing. I've went through some pretty stiff stuff with this before. I have broken a couple because I was trying to use too stiff of a material, so keep that in mind. These guys here, let's start with these two big old monsters. These guys are very strong needles. They're very thick steel. They have the exact same tip shape, except one is straight and one is curved. The curved is kind of for upholstery, or if you're like making repair, and you can't get to the back of it, you can still be able to stitch. I don't use this one a whole lot. This one, okay, see if we can get up here so you can get a good look at the tip of it. There we go. See if we can get some more material here to make some contrast. Okay, there you go. The tip of this one is triangular, and it's sharp right there. I don't know if you can see the edge. These are sharp needles. These are pretty sharp, but the tip is triangular, so that allows you to really punch through tough, thick material, leather, heavy webbing, canvas. These triangular tips, sometimes they'll be like a regular sewing needle, referred to as a sail needle. It's very thick. You can punch through a good bit of material with them pretty easily. It just cuts right through, and well, it didn't that time. But the trouble with this, this is a thick needle, but it makes a it makes a big hole. Right there you can see the hole that it made, I think, hopefully. So, it's not too good for thin material, but if you're working with heavy material, this here is the needle to use. Very strong, very thick. Okay, along that same line of the triangular, it's this one, point. This one here is smaller in diameter. It's about the same size diameter as this guy, but it too has a triangular point just like the other one. It's just a smaller triangular point, so still the same type of materials. It'll cut through those as well, but you can use it on lighter materials and it won't leave such a large hole. There we go. See, can't even really tell that one. So this is good for good general purpose needle here, triangular point. Then the next one we have, same size and diameter as that last needle, except this edge or point is a little bit different. Let's see if I can get this one. This one is more convex edge. Now it's not a true like symmetrical convex. It's kind of a little off a little bit, but right there's the bevel, and then returning there's the convex edge, and there's the back bevel, turning, and then there's the convex edge again. So this one, you can use this one on very thick, stiff materials. Again, this one will slice right through them, no problem. Doesn't leave a hole or anything. Very easily. Very good needle. This one is probably my favorite design. I really like this one because it's strong and I can use it on a variety of materials. So this one or that small triangular one, I like those a lot, though I have used just the regular old sewing machine needle probably the most.